Hello everyone. Today in this lesson we will try to solve the questions that are related to reproduction in plants. Firstly, we will start solving the questions of 3.5 germination of seeds. These questions were your task. You did it at home. So let's work together and solve them together. Question number 1. Copy and complete the following paragraph. Okay, so here we have a paragraph. It's about seed germination. We will try to solve it together. Before germination, a seed must absorb dash from the soil. Okay, any seed as we explained, we say any seed to germinate. Firstly, there should be some environmental conditions. These conditions were oxygen, suitable temperature, and water. So, before germination, a seed must absorb what from the soil? Of course, because they are talking about soil, so the seed needs to absorb what? Needs to absorb water. So you need to focus on this square, the square that it will show when I will click on the dash. The seed coat is impermeable to this substance and it enters through the hole called the. As we explained, we say the seed coat it's impermeable. It means it will not let anything to pass through it, except the water will pass through it. But how it will pass? It will pass through a hole. This hole, what do we call it? We call it micropyle. This absorption causes the seed to what? When the seed it will absorb water, what will happen to it? We said if a seed it will absorb water, that means it will be bigger. So what will happen to it? The seed it will swell and split the what? What will split? The seed coat. The gas dash can now enter. So which gas is needed to go inside the seed? It's the oxygen gas. So oxygen gas now it's ready to enter, which it's necessary. Why? It's necessary for what? Why seeds need? Why seed needs oxygen? It needs for aerobic respiration. The energy from this process together with soluble food compounds allow the embryo to grow. The embryo that is inside a seed. The young root or the scientific name of it, which is radical. The young root or radical appears first and grows downward. By what? Why it will grow downward? If you remember when we talked about tropism. So it will grow by positive gravitropism. Why it's positive? Because it's growing with the direction of the gravity. Then providing what? When the root it will grow, it will be bigger. So how this it will help the plant? It will providing anchorage. Okay, it will anchor the plant in the soil and absorbing water and minerals for the seedling. The young shoot or plumule appears next. This grows upward and eventually bursts through the soil. The first what? Leaves. Okay? The first what? The first true leaves develop and seedling is able to produce its own food by what? How the plant is able to make food? By what? By photosynthesis. Question number 2. How would you attempt to prove that germination is controlled by enzymes? The evidence that it shows the germination of seed is controlled by enzymes, it's what? It's the temperature suitable. Okay, we said a seed to germinate, it needs a suitable temperature. Why? Because this suitable temperature, it will affect on the activity of the enzyme. It makes the enzymes inside the seed be active. Questions on plant reproduction. Question number 1. Choose words from the list to complete each of the spaces in the paragraph. Each word may be used once only, and some words are not used at all. The words are bright, large, stamens, dry, light, sticky, dull, sepals, style, heavy, small. The paragraph, it says, flowers of plants that rely on the wind to bring about pollination tend to have petals. Okay, the flowers that it depends on wind for pollination. So how the petals will be? The petals, it will be small. Okay, because we said the function of petals is to attract the insect. Here, because this plant or this flower, it depends on wind, it will not depend on insects, so no need to petals to be large. Okay, so petals tend to have small petals and have a color. What kind of color it will be? Also because it will not depend on insects, so the color will be dull. Their pollen is normally, how it will be the pollen? It will be dry and light. Why light? So, because it depends on the wind, so it should be light, so it can be carried by the wind. In these flowers, the dash and the dash both tend to be long. Which two parts it should be long? Because it depends on the wind, so to increase the chance of pollination, so the stamens and the stigma, they should be long. Question number 2a. Question number 2a, it says match the names of the flower parts with their functions. One has been completed for you. As you can see here, this is done for us. Petal, the function of it is to attract insects for pollination. Let's start with the anther. Anther, the function of anther is to what? The function of anther, it produces pollen grains. The next one, sepal. Sepal, it's leaves. Oh, it's the leaves. Okay, which one? It's the green one. Okay, the function of sepal, it's to what? It's to it protects the flower when in bud. Then next one, style. Style, it's what? It's one of the parts of female reproductive organ. Where it locates below stigma. So it's the part that connects stigma to ovary. So the function of it will be, it allows the passage of the pollen tube to the ovary, because we said once the pollen it will land on the stigma, a pollen tube it will start forming. This pollen tube, it will pass through the style until it will reach the ovary. Stigma. Stigma, the function of stigma, it's what? It's the surface on which the pollen lands during pollination. B. B, it says, describe how the stigmas of wind pollinated flowers differ from the stigmas of insect pollinated flowers. Relate these differences to use of wind as the pollinating agent. Because here we have two types of pollinating, okay, which is wind pollinated and insect pollinated. The difference between them is what? The answer for this question is, as we explained here, we say the pollen the pollen is normally, we said it's dry and light in these flowers. So because here it's wind pollinated, so how it will be? The stigma, The stigma of wind pollinated, it should be wide. It should have large surface. Why? So it will increase the chance of landing of the pollen. But the stigma of the insect pollinated, it should be sticky. Why it should be sticky? Because it will increase the chance of sticking or taking the pollen from the bodies of insects. C. Discuss the implications to a species of self-pollination. Here it's talking about, what do you think, what are the like positive and negative points about a plant of being self-pollinated. Here I prepared some answers for you. For example, self-pollination causes less variation within the species. Number two, it has some bad consequences. Okay, here I am talking about some positive and negative points. Positive, it causes less variation, or you can consider it as positive or negative at the same time. Number two, it has some bad consequences. Let's take some examples of bad consequences. Less chance of adapting to changing conditions. Here, when there will be any change in the environmental conditions, okay, so this kind of plant, it's less adapted to it. Example, or maybe this plant may become extinct. So any change to the environmental conditions may it cause extinct of this species. Number three, this we can consider it as a positive point. Less wastage of pollen. The cross pollination, which is transferring pollen from one plant to the another one. So in this case, in this state, what will happen? We will waste lots of pollens. But self-pollination species, okay, it will waste less pollen. Question number three. Below you can see photographs of a tomato and an apple. Both are cut in half longitudinally through the middle. Okay, here we have tomato and apple. Question A. Make a large labeled drawing of the cut surface of the tomato fruit. Here you will draw the tomato again and you will label it. Okay. What are the labels that you will write? When you will draw it, what you will do? Here, what do we have? What are the parts that you should label them? Firstly, as you can see here, we have these seeds. Okay, as you can see, here we have these seeds. You have this one, it's what? This, it's the seed. Then, all of it, it's what? It's a mature ovary. Then, this one, the circle, it's what? This is the wall of the ovary. And if you want to write a description of it, you will say it contains more seeds and it's like a jelly inside. It has a jelly inside it. This will be the answer for A. I list 4 differences between the 2 fruits visible in the photographs. Okay, if you look at these two, like tomato and an apple, okay, it says find 4 differences. So the differences between them, the answer will be, here it's moist, it's here it's like soft, here it has more seeds, here it has less seeds, and one more thing, this part, it has called pedicel, and here no pedicel. List here describe 2 similarities between the 2 fruits. The 2 similarities, you will say both of them are mature ovary. Both of them they have seeds. That's it. C. Describe an investigation you could carry out to compare the reducing sugar content of these 2 fruits. Include any safety precautions you will need to consider. So the answer for C, it will be here. You need to do a experiment. This experiment, how it will be. Your experiment, you should follow these steps. So we will choose equal sample, which is equal size and mass of both of tomato and the apple. Then we will also choose equal volume of water. Then we will crush fruits, or you can say cut the fruit, crush fruit or cut the fruit, it's the same. Then what we will do, we will add equal volume of Benedict's indicator. Benedict's indicator, this Benedict indicator, we talked about it in term 1. This indicator we use to investigate if there is sugar content or no. This indicator, it changes its color when there will be sugar. Firstly, the original color of Benedict's indicator, it's like blue. It's blue. But when you will add it to substance in high, in a substance, in a, we called it like bath, okay, it's a hot water bath. So what will happen, if there will be sugar, the color of this Benedict, it will change and it will turn to be yellow. Now after adding Benedict, what you will do, you will heat the fruit with water and the Benedict, you will put them in, call it heating, you will heat it in hot water bath. Then after that, equal time of heating for both of them. This process you will do it for both of the fruits, and you will follow this. For example, and you will choose size, a specific size for tomato, specific, you will add water to the tomato, you will crush tomato, you will add Benedict to tomato, and you will put all of these substances or materials in a hot water bath. These steps you will do it for both of them, both of the tomato and the apple at the same time. Then what will happen at the end, you will see the color, it will change. Now the color, if it's blue, that's mean this it's tomato, because tomato it has low level of sugar in it. But the apple, it has a high level of sugar in it. So we will see the color of apple, it will change into the yellow. The materials that you used during this experiment are, firstly, you should always use safety glasses. You will use hot water, Benedict, knife for cutting, flame for heating, and hot glassware. Question number 4. A. Sexual reproduction in flowering plants involves both pollination and fertilization. I. Explain the difference between pollination and fertilization. The difference between them is, in pollination, the pollen will transfer from anther to the stigma, while in fertilization, the nuclei of pollen, it will fuse with the nuclei of ovum in the ovary. I. Name the part of a flower where pollination happens. The pollination, it will take place on the stigma, because as we explained here and we mentioned the pollination, we said it's transfer of pollen from anther to the stigma. Then I. Name the part of the flower where fertilization happens. The answer is ovary, where the ovules are found. B. Sexual reproduction in flowers results in the production of seeds and fruits. From which part of the flower a seed of each of these formed? As we mentioned before, we said the ovule, okay, it will turn to be seed, while the ovary will turn to be fruit. C. Describe the role of the wind in the life cycle of some flowering plants. In flowering plants, wind, it will carry the seeds. When it will carry the seeds, so it's helping or it's assisting the pollination. And also, wind, it can disperse seeds. Wind also, it can disperse scent, so it can attract the pollinators. It can attract the pollinators, for example, insects. Question number 5A. All seeds need oxygen, water, and suitable temperature to germinate. 22 Celsius is a suitable temperature for the germination of pea seeds. Light and dark conditions have no effect on pea seed germination. The diagram shows an experiment on germination of pea seeds. As you can see here in this experiment, we have 4 tubes. These 4 tubes, it contains pea seed, but the third one, or tube C, as you can see here, it's covered with oil. It contains boiled water, and also it's covered with a layer of oil. We will see how this layer of oil it will affect. Now, it says complete table A, table 1 below. The tube A, B, C, D, would seeds germinate? You should write yes or no. This experiment, it's about or it's to investigate what are the conditions that a seed need to germinate. As we explained before, we said any seed to germinate, it will need these 3 conditions. These 3 conditions are: firstly, it needs water, it needs a temperature, suitable temperature, and also it needs air or oxygen. Now, let's take each a tube individually and let's see if the seed it will germinate or no. Tube A. Tube A, we have a seed, and this seed it has a suitable temperature which is 22, and there is air. But what do you think this seed it will germinate? Yes or no? The answer it will be no. Why it's no? Because there is air, there is suitable temperature, but there is no water. If you go to tube B, what do we have? Here we have, in this tube B, we have seed with water, air, suitable temperature. So of course this seeds it will grow or it will germinate. So the answer for A, it's no. The answer for B is yes. C. Also here we have seed, we have water, and suitable temperature here. But we have water here. How it's this water? It's boiled water. And also we have oil. So because of oil and boiled water, the air, it will not be able to pass through the oil and it will not reach the seeds. So in this case, the seeds in tube C, it will not grow. If we will go to the last tube, tube D. In tube D, what do we have? We have suitable temperature, we have water, we have air. So all the conditions are suitable for the seed to germinate. So the answer for D, it is yes, it will germinate. Now, germination is quicker if the temperature is raised to 30 Celsius. Explain why. Because here they are talking about temperature, and as we know, when we talked about the suitable temperature, we said temperature it affect on the enzymes. It will affect on the enzymes in the seeds. So when the temperature of seed it will increase to 30 Celsius, it will help the enzymes to work more efficiently. Your task for this lesson, it will be to solve the question B, okay? That was everything for this lesson. I hope you got benefit from it. if you have any questions, any concerns about this topic or about this lesson, please don't hesitate to text me. Thank you and have a good day.